Yeah, we're on this train this morning, and I do want to say congratulations to Donald Trump and JD Vance and you know the whole thing.
All the guys.
Yeah, there was an inauguration.
Yep.
Very, very not well publicized, obviously.
Wait,
So-
what's going on?
Right. It's a unique place to be. We have spent our whole ministry life talking about how to reform government to its ways of the Constitution and to
Right.
getting rid of government power, and how do we do that, and how do the people stand. And we may not get involved in elections because, to be honest with you, I hate who we elect. I just get so sick of where we're at right now as a country. And mea culpa, it's my fault. You know, I think there is things you should focus on as far as elections go. And certainly, you know, I'm always going to vote the side closest to my values. And so definitely we're congratulating Trump and Vance. But I'm always on this side, and I don't know if people understand this. And this is where I get a lot of flack, a lot of negativity. I'm glad for him, but I'm a skeptic. I always have been. Like, everybody's like, rejoice, it's a great day. It's like, for what? For who? For who? I don't know what they're going to do. They talk a good game, but we don't know what they're going to do. Yeah, the economy will go well, but if that's what we're looking for, then that's what you're going to get. I'm looking at this as a whole. Like, will government shrink? Will we be able to have our restored, even though I'm going to walk in my rights whether the government tells me or not? This whole idea of praising these guys for getting TikTok back, that's the First Amendment, y'all. Like, that's not so when we're talking like this, I'm excited for them, but it's just another president, another office that we have to hold accountable. And so, like, yes, I'm happy, and that's all good, but I don't get like everybody else does. I'm always looking at, they're just mere men that can also fail, and we have a job to do to protect this nation and our rights and our freedoms and our liberties and our people and my kids, right? I was just telling Mike that I saw some posts this weekend that really concerned me, and it's got a lot of likes. You know, this is the first weekend I've ever had where I'm looking forward to a Monday.
And that totally, I was telling Massey, that completely mirrors Michelle Obama during the inauguration when she said, "I've never been proud of America until today." Oh, because your husband got elected. And if the man in the White House determines who you are and your outlook on life, kind of a sad state of affairs.
Yeah. I think too, like, I may never, and this is not a joke or a cap or anything on me. I may never get invited to an inauguration to see these things. That's okay. You know, I'm an American and a Christian and a constitutionalist, and I'm looking at this as objective as I can. Just because we elect somebody does not mean they're perfect, and I'm always on the watch. You know, you saw Vivek back out of Doge right now to be the governor. He's running for governor of Ohio.
Oh, is that what's going on?
Yeah. But this whole campaign was, we're going to shrink the size of government. We're going to do all these things. And I don't care what you say to me. I don't care if it looks good on paper. Every man is about ambition. It's about an ambitious thing. And I've been accused of not being ambitious enough. You know, your ministry should be farther along than where it's at. You should have more views than this. You should have connected with that guy and that guy and that guy. If you'd have hopped on that thing, and I'm always saying to myself, I did not sign up to do this. I did not ask for this. I've done what I know to do well, and to do the truth, and to speak the truth, and to live the truth, and to educate the Americans and the masses about the Constitution. That's my job, right? And I think what's happening now is definitely for where we're at as a nation, Trump is the best. What's the word? Candidate? Option for what we have. And it is true, with much knowledge cometh much sorrow. We can talk the Constitution all day long, and then all of a sudden we're willing to compromise the Constitution by any means necessary when it comes to a candidate. And I'm talking about the left or the right, and I'm not talking about President Trump here. I'm talking about just in general with candidates we pick and all that other stuff. And once again, I think I'm looking at this objectively, and I'm looking at the heart of America. I'm looking at the heart of man. And half of America right now is going, our country's over. The other side of the coin is, oh my gosh, we got our guy. It's going to be amazing 4 years. Oh. And I'm waiting for these people to say, he should just change the Constitution to run another 4 years. You know what I mean? I'm waiting for it. I'm waiting for, all these things to happen.
He had to break the laws in order to uphold the laws. And it's a very quick and easy jump for us to make on that process of, oh, well, we've got to do this in order to protect it. Boy, that's funny. It's pretty funny that now in our position, oh, well, it's okay for us to break the laws in order to protect it. Yeah, we were freaking out when everybody else does it.
That's right. That's right.
And I do very much get tired of that position. I mean, he's slated to come out with something like 200 executive orders.
Man.
And we got all upset about the flurry of executive orders that Biden came out with on day one. This is the game that gets played these days. And we, instead of thinking several steps ahead of where this is going to lead, it truly does become, oh, tit for tat. You know, oh, we got to do all this in order to... And then in 4 years, the Democrat's going to come through and he's going to undo everything that Trump just did.
No, sunshine to what you're saying. Let's give the bright side to what you're saying, the 200 orders. If these orders are upholding the Constitution, that's a good thing. That's what they should do. If it is expanding government authority, and if it is saying it's giving you more rights, you failed. I'm telling you, someone will preach on this that's more has more followers than us, and people will finally get it. It'll probably be a little bit down the road. If you continue to tell government to give me my rights back, they will codify it into law. And you know what happens when government codifies a right into law? The other side will say that is no longer a right, and they take it away. Rights are inerrant. The government doesn't tell me that I have the right to free speech. It was given to me by God. It's inherent. I have it because of creation. I'm created with these rights. They exist with me. As a matter of fact, they were born with us, exist with us, and can be taken. That was John Dickinson. Kings or parliaments can give us rights to the happiness of man. He said they don't come from parchments or seals. They come from God. And so when government continues to say, I'm going to give you free speech back. Thank you so much, President, for getting TikTok back. What are you talking about? You know what's funny is even that, right? And I know there's a lot of posts about this because I'm just vehemently frustrated about it. That proves that government can do anything they want. To ban an entire platform, which had, what was it, 7 million small businesses on it or something like that?
Probably.
Like, it was up in the millions of businesses that were platformed on TikTok. The government was willing to shut it down. But they tell you all the time, oh, we just can't do that. That's too much work to stop sex trafficking. That's just too much work to stop the border. That's too much work to stop child pornography. That's too much work to shut down the triple X sites. It's too much. It just, we can't do it. There's not bipartisan, but dang, you guys can shut down TikTok.
Somebody sent me that there's a list of politicians who put more money into Meta stock right around the time that TikTok was getting banned. So, incentive. Yeah.
See, this is what I'm talking about. I don't trust government. I don't care if they're on my side or the other side. I don't trust them. I'll tell you why. Because they have now assumed the authority of power. They think they have power over us. They think they have a power over the world. We were an independent sovereign nation. We were never meant to police the world. And they say he's the most powerful leader in the free world. What do you mean powerful? What does that mean? He's the president. Look at Article 2 of the Constitution. He doesn't have a lot of authority. He can't do much. He's the face to the world, but what can he really do? He can veto some bills. I mean, really, and execute the law. That's what he's called to do. Be a check and balance against Congress and the Supreme Court for sure, right? But really, what is he? We put this like mantle, and dude, Kash Patel wrote a book about it. The 2 times basically killing the king or almost killed the king, or I forget the title of the book. I got to look it up. But the title of king is on him. The president, not Trump. President, the president itself. As if to say that man or that person that gets in that office, whoever it is either going to make or break America. And yet 345 million Americans are the ones who make this country or break this country. It's us. We elect them, and we've given them our vote to say, go be constitutional, right? And then when we elect, they go, I am now in power. What? I've given you over something. I'm saying I'm trusting you with maintaining my rights. That's all I'm doing. And that's why I get so skeptical of government. I will never, I can't change my position. I don't know why. The more I read about how despotic governments can be, even just 70 years ago, shoot, look at Melee and all these other guys in other countries. They're bouncing back. Why? Because they're slashing government. They're crucifying government right now.
And there's a massive movement on what you would call the right wing across the world. I mean, Germany is talking about banning the AfD party, which is just their conservative right-wing party. But of course, to the Germans, it must be Nazis, because it's totally not fascistic to ban an entire political party. Makes perfect sense. And you're watching Romania. They had election hooey going on, especially with the EU getting involved. Italy has had troubles. France has had troubles. And guess what? It's always the right wing, the populist, the conservative party that is getting trouble from the establishment. This movement is going on across the world. And I think the shining light on that is because people are waking up to they have to be responsible for themselves.
Right.
They can't put all of their faith in the government. The problem is when you back yourself into having faith in government because, oh, well, if my guy gets in, then everything's okay.
Right.
I want to be self-sufficient. I want to have my rights. I want to be that conservative darling. So I've got to have this man in place to protect all of that for me. We're backing into
kingdom,
right? Well, the king will do what I want the king to do, and so then I'll be okay.
Yeah, Prince and Pauper.
Yeah, that's a much, because you and I were also talking about how it works from the macro down to the micro, and as you were talking, thinking about, we get obsessed with these elections, I think because we want to escape ourselves.
Oh.
We want to escape our own world. Now, some people are, that's not true. Just think about it for a second.
Yeah, just this is all food for thought stuff.
Yeah, and you can say I'm wrong.
Yeah, disagree or agree.
You're wrong, but you can say I'm wrong. And I think the more we focus on the soap opera of politics and who's in power and are they for us or against us, it's juicy. It's drama-filled. It's a guilty pleasure. It makes us feel self-righteous. It makes us focus on something else that is not ourselves.
Yeah.
How many different areas of our life get consumed by who's in charge?
Right.
That we're not focusing on our sphere and what's going on around us. And we put all the responsibility of what's going on in our sphere on that man's hands. Well, if Trump's in office and he does exactly what I want him to do, then my life is good. So he's in control of every aspect of your life.
That's exactly right. And I will say, and again, I hate it because people think we're bashing Trump here. I'm actually bashing idolatry. I think Trump will do well with what he knows to do well with. What you see is what you get with the guy. You know what I mean? He's very, very smart. He's not stupid. I think he's doing what people around him tell him, and he's going to walk forward in those things. So it's not necessarily a bash on Trump. I won't do that. I don't know him, but I am seeing just the continual, like, oh my gosh, it's back. I'm going to take a limb step here, and I'm going to make some folks angry, and it's okay. But I really need you to hear my heart in this. I know this guy, Kim Clement, prophet, has prophesied so many things that have come to pass. What a great guy. I mean, I would have only imagined to see him, do that. But just because he prophesied Trump would be in office and that came to pass and that he would proclaim the name of Jesus on the way out, just because he's a Christian does not mean he'd be a good president. I mean, I'll say that no one's character was matched more than George Washington as far as character goes. John Adams. These guys were bulwarks, right? They did some not so good things sometimes as president. Their Christianity had nothing to do with it. It had everything to do with the Constitution. You know what I mean? So just because it's said that they'll be president, good. But could that be God saying to us, you needed this man to do it because no one else would? I mean, do you see what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Like the fact that Christian, I know, and I know it sounds bad, and I'm gonna get some hope in a minute. I always do. The fact that we had to have an outsider not understand all of the inner working, he self-admitted. I can't remember when this was. I wish I'd have had this interview pulled up. But he basically said, I walked in blind the first time. I didn't know how to do all this stuff. So the fact that an outsider had to come in and do something that we all have been talking about since millennia, right? As far as the beginning of America, Constitution, stuff like that, we could not find one candidate to do what supposedly he's going to be able to do. That should be a shame on all of us working so hard, right, to do all this. And so it's not about him. But I am always leery of government, and I pray that people would understand that. It's not about Trump. It's about, I just have a distrust of government so healthily. I have a distrust of a lot of things. You know, when people work for you and you hire them, that doesn't mean like you just blindly trust. You check up, you follow up, you do, hey, how's it going? What's the progress? Just because people work for you does not mean they're going to do the best job. You got to do your due diligence. Same thing as a citizen, if not more as a citizen. Because they're parading around up there, like you said, 200 executive orders coming right out the gate. What's going to happen in 4 years if a Dem gets in there? There they go. Because that's what the game we started playing now. I know this sounds crappy, and I know you guys want me to sound happy. Listen, am I happy that Trump is in there? I don't know President Trump. I can only go by fruit and what he knows. He's going to do exactly what he said he would do. Almost. Unless he gets vetoed or something like that.
Yeah,
right?
He's pretty good at getting done what he says he's going to do.
Right. That's what's scary, though. He's going to do what he said he would do, and Congress is nowhere mentioned in it. And Congress is the one who creates laws, not the president, according to Article 1. Article 2 doesn't give him the authority to create law out of thin air, nor does it give the Supreme Court that kind of liberty. They're not supposed to create law. They're not supposed to make law. The abortion was never legal in this country. It just never was. There was no codified law saying you can kill a baby in the womb. None. And I'll even argue, even if there was, you should be like Miriam and them when Moses was born, not Miriam, his mother, Yoshebel. When she said, no, I'm not going to kill my son. I don't care about the edict. I'm not going to do it. You know what I mean? So I would even argue like that, which is not a pitch, but our book is out. All of that information is contained in this book called Church Liberated. The Amazon link will be down below. But we also have a Constitution course. The reason why I talk about it is because, dude, most people are ignorant to the power of the president. He comes in, 200 orders. Where's Congress? Yep. That's what's scary, dude. I don't want a king. I don't want to be like Canada. I don't want to be like England. I don't want to be like them. We're an independent, sovereign nation. And if we keep acting like other countries, we will end up like other countries. I promise you, we'll end up like other countries.
Oh, we're headed in that direction. And 4 years may be a bit of a respite, but we're definitely...
The trajectory.
Our trajectory is going downhill fast in the consolidation of power. And hopefully, his presidency will be a turning point, a true turning point. Although I don't have a whole lot of faith.
Yeah.
Just the hearts and nature of men. It's not that I don't think it couldn't turn around, but it's very difficult to get the hearts of men to turn and to weed out the ones who are not going to turn. It just, evil finds a way. What are you looking for in there, bud?
I'm just looking up. So there was a chapter there we did about God who gave liberty. It's just I found it, but I can't find the section.
I can look for you.
And it's just about God never intended us to be in bondage. When we created the system of government that we have now, it was never meant to put us in bondage. It was actually maintained there to punish evil and praise those who do well.
Have freedom from oppression, that one?
Yeah, I think so. Where it's like, let's see. I even wrote this section in here. I think this was me.
Yeah.
Mike wrote a few
Yeah, it was
chapters.
you.
And I appreciate all the work he helped put into it, because he basically took my ideas and put them on paper, and then he wrote a couple of chapters, 2-3 chapters for himself, because just his knowledge, I couldn't touch. It was unrivaled. So I was like, you do it. And then Carrie also wrote a piece in here too. So it is authored by Self-Evident as well. So I want you to hear this. While there are many scriptural examples in which God placed the children of Israel into bondage due to their sins, there were also many examples of God releasing them from their bondage. Remember, God never wanted his children in bondage to another nation. He desired them to be free. And a simple example occurs in Exodus, when God frees the Israelites from slavery in Egypt. And this specific story is a physical representation of a spiritual underpinning that the God of heaven values human liberty and actively intervenes to set his people free from bondage. And that happened all over the place. It wasn't just that. It was also in Isaiah, in Jeremiah. Even when God pronounced judgment, he's like, but there will be a day when I free you from that and you will be free. And the reason we got into bondage from with government is because of our sins, because of our idolatry, because of our lack of responsibility. And I'll say this, we were talking this morning, and I'm kind of going on a tangent, I'll pip it back. We were talking about the difference between self-deprecation and self-examination. And a lot of people will self-deprecate, in other words, put themselves down. And because we put ourselves down and that's your mentality, it's easy for someone to rule over you. Oh, he can do it better than me. I'll just give him the authority then to go do that, since I can't. When self-examination looks at all the flaws that you have in the same way as self-depreciation or self-deprecation, you look at the flaws and the lenses are different. I look at my flaws as, so let me just use me as an example. I used to self-deprecate a lot. I'm overweight. I'm not where I want to be financially. I'm not where I want to be with my family. I'm not, like all these things, right? And then one day these glasses were stripped. It's like the Lord took this, I don't know, I can't explain, like a windshield washer. It just like wiped it. Now I said, okay, I am overweight. Do something about it. Okay, we're not where we are financially. Well, then maybe we got to start figuring out what our budget is and start figuring out how we spend. And is there other avenues we can do business-wise to make more income? I'm not a great dad sometimes. Okay, well then what are you actively doing to change that? That's the difference between self-deprecation and self-evaluation, right? And so when I'm looking at the nation, we're not deprecating the country. We're evaluating the country, saying we can do this different. We can do it better. And I know with Trump and all these other things, he's going to do some cool things. I know it. The economy is going to boost. It already has. There's like what the Ukraine, there was a peace treaty between not Ukraine, Israel and
Gaza.
Gaza, like that was quick, right? So there's some things that you'll see that'll go well. I'm looking at, that's fantastic. I pray the Ukraine war and all that mess stops. I pray all that stuff stops. What about us and our rights? What about lowering taxes? As a matter of fact, to the point of going back to before 1911, where we paid into the states and the states did what they needed to do, where the federal government wasn't depending on the handouts of the people. It was actually depending on tariffs and all these other things that were going on to fund government. You know why they won't do that? Because so many people are on that payroll. So it's funny. I was watching this the other day. This is how government works. The government is funded by treasury bonds. Mm-hmm. How do they get treasury bonds? We got to buy them, right? So then we print money to buy the treasury bond. It's just this vicious.
It's nasty cycle.
It's a nasty cycle. We're basically buying treasury bonds with nothing of value, right? And then we pay into this. When if they could truly print money and we were supposed to support, why do we need taxation? If you can just print money out of thin air and buy treasury bonds, because they want you a part of them. They want you a part of this whole mess. They want to control you. They don't get your money is like a drop in the bucket to what these guys can do. It really is, right? Do you think they care about me paying in $3,000 or whatever my taxes are this year? $3,000, $5,000, $20,000?
No.
That's a drop in the bucket to them. They spent that in a second. They spend that on Air Force One's fuel every hour, right? My taxation. Yeah. So to them, that's nothing. It's not about that. It's about control. And it's all it's ever been about. TikTok, this was about control. It was about government saying, oh, we banned it. Well, let's unban it, and now we control it. I'm telling you, it's about control. This whole TikTok ban was about control. They want to control private discussion. They want to control business. They want to control the way you communicate. You may think, where's my tin hat? It's in my office. You may think I'm crazy, But when have they ever relinquished their authority? Even through COVID.
Thomas Sowell said there's nothing more permanent than a temporary government program.
Oh, my gosh.
And the UK is talking about banning offensive speech discussions. So, like, not just offensive speech, which is already bad enough, but they're talking about if you're sitting in a pub and you have a political conversation and one of the workers gets offended, you could be fined or arrested for it. So now there is no free speech in the UK at this point, but now your private conversations are being controlled by the government, where the government says,
Are you hearing
if
this?
you have that conversation and somebody's offended by it, well, then you could be charged. And I think typically we watch that type of thing, especially in America. Well, that will never happen here. And we've said it plenty of times. The fact you're saying it will never happen here makes it almost certain that it'll happen here, because everybody lays down and says, well, we don't have to protect against that because that'll never happen here. And then it gets snuck into something. And this TikTok ban, government chose winners and losers during COVID, which frustrated plenty of people. Oh, well, these big box stores, they can stay open, but little mom and pop, no, you can't stay open. And I mean, Michigan was probably the worst in that type of situation, where they picked, oh, what can you purchase and what can you not purchase, right? Where can you go and where can you not go? So government picked winners and losers. This is another example of government picking winners and losers.
Right.
And the consolidation of power is the moral busybodies argument. These people are becoming moral busybodies, determining that they need to control every aspect of your life to keep you safe. Really, they're just trying to justify their position and their pay. They're
Bingo.
bored.
Bingo.
If anything, they're just bored.
That's right.
I've got to make my name, and I got to show my legacy that I did something. So I'm going to come out with a bill that bans eating cheeseburgers, because I'm going to save everybody from cheeseburgers.
Right.
And then they get on this high horse, this moral high horse, and they charge forward, and they're like, we're going to ban cheeseburgers because America's fat. And you see how quick the moral busybody decides, for your own good, we have to ban this.
Truth.
We have to outlaw this. We have to make sure you
100%.
can't do this anymore.
100%.
And then they pay themselves for it.
Yeah. I think, too, like Mike Johnson just came out and said basically Biden wasn't running the country. Did you see this?
Mm-mm.
Mike Johnson came out and said, "Why? Can I ask you a question?" He was talking to the president. He said, I have to basically answer to my constituents in Louisiana. He said, "Sir, why did you pause liquefied natural gas exports to Europe? It's in great demand by our allies, and because you understand, we talked about Ukraine, fueling Vladimir Putin's war machine. If we stop this, they're going to go to Russia or whatever." And Biden said, "I didn't do that." And he goes, "Mr. President, yes, you did. It was an executive order like 3 weeks ago." I'm going to throw this out there. He kind of just spilled the tea there. They're saying, "Wow, Biden's never been running the country, right? He's just never. He hasn't been running. Someone else has been running." That's his whole point, was Biden was not running the country. Okay, everybody knew it, and what'd they do about it?
Nothing.
Why did they not impeach him then? That's bullcrap.
And
this is what I'm talking about.
Guaranteed, Mike Johnson knew.
Oh my gosh, they all knew.
They all knew that Biden was not running the country, yet they did nothing about it. And now that there's nothing they can do about it, oh, well, why'd you sign that executive order? I didn't. So who did? Oh, thank you, Inspector Johnson. I'm so grateful for you to have finally solved the case of the mysterious president.
Yeah.
We're supposed to pat you on the back?
Right.
We're supposed to give you accolades as now we walk into the next administration, when y'all sat on your butts for 4 years and watched this farce, which, if you remember correctly, even during the campaign, at least we were saying, why is he hiding in a basement? Why is it all controlled and curtailed? This guy isn't healthy enough to do this. And everybody said, no, he's fine. And people like Johnson never said boo about it.
They
never did
did.
anything.
Nope.
But now that you can jump on the bandwagon of victory, you can point the finger.
Now that he's on his way out, what are you gonna do? So here's what I've been told about this ministry, this podcast, and all that stuff. No, I'm committing sabotage against my ministry for talking about government this way. Why wouldn't you just why do you have to say all that stuff? You know, you just need to teach people this before you start saying it. It's like I've learned something that it takes a long time to learn, but I finally understand pieces of it, and I pray that it ministers to you. I don't care what people say unless the Lord is telling me not to say it. I'm going to keep saying it. If I was a wagon jumper like everybody else, our ministry would blow up in a second. Our podcast would blow up. I know it because I could do all the same chants that everybody does. I'm not going to do that. And you know what? We won't get the praise for it. We won't get heralded for it. And I already recognize and know that. But you know what will happen? People will finally wake up to the truth. Those that listen will do something with it. This year, we're actually really focused on not national government stuff, how we can be involved locally as a body, as Christians, as constitutionalists, to be involved in their local areas. We're really going to focus this year on what can we do to impact our society as a church, as a Christian, as a school board member, as whatever business owner. How do we do that? We're creating a mentorship program for that. Why? It's because I don't care about saying this is bad or this you shouldn't talk about the presidency like that. Republicans, you need to speak more favorably of the Republicans. Guys, as should we all, I hold my side in more of a light than the other side does. And we should, because if we keep going down this regressive path, we're not going to have a constitution. We're not even going to reference it. As a matter of fact, it was rarely ever referenced at all in these debates. And I say rarely because it was mentioned once or twice, but rarely is it mentioned. Nobody talks about it anymore. We need to create more government programs to hold government accountable. Government of, the Department of Government Efficiency. Do you know how ridiculous that is? That we need to create a department for that? Why do they need a department for that when we know we're creating it because of corruption? Why can't we just stop the corruption? You know how ridiculous this is? It's ridiculous. We get mad at hiring 80,000 IRS agents, which I did. Or that I don't even know if they did it. It was just approved to do. But we need to create more government programs to hold that same government accountable. Dude, this makes no sense. And that's what frustrates me. It's not about Trump. It's not about any of that stuff. It's about, will government go back to what it should be, which is constitutional? Let the people be free. Let them keep the fruit of their labors. Let them be free and love on people and do what they need to do. And when crime comes, we punish it. And when things are done well, we praise it. We don't try to promote ideologies. We don't try to force people to do things that we wouldn't want ourselves to do. We honor the Lord because that's our nation. It's what it was founded on. That has nothing to do with free speech because God gives rights. It's an automatic. It's a no-brainer. And I don't care what you say. It's a no-brainer. The founders knew it. Rights come from God, not from man. So to honor God, even if you don't believe in him, you don't have to honor him. That's up to you. But we in this nation should honor God because that's where it comes from. And I don't care how many scholars you throw at me. I can show you page after page, written document, all of that stuff, Federalist Papers, that the acknowledgement of someone greater than us is in our superintendents. That's how we were made. Our Declaration says it. For God's sakes, the nation was founded like this. For us to remove ourselves is from that position is, I think, not only just disingenuous, but it's irrational. You're not even rationally thinking. You think that man will give it to you when every 4 years you're trying to vie for the spot of the better man to give you your rights. Talk about slavery. We're literally in hock to a government. This podcast took a weird turn because I was trying to say, way to go, Prez. And then it went to that. I don't trust any of you. And I don't. I don't trust one of them. I don't. And you know what? We should all be skeptical of them. Always. Always, because power corrupts. But absolute power corrupts absolutely. And the fact that Trump could say, I've got 200 orders ready to go, it sounds eerily familiar, like, well, we already have plans for an LA 2.0. Well, what, do you just devise them?
Opportunity is so useful, but so dangerous too. And it is power in the hands of those who wield it. So when these opportunities come up, and I've said this over and over again, and people might not like it, Trump is an opportunist.
Of course he is.
He is not a man of conviction. He's a man of opportunity. I'm not saying that he doesn't have convictions, but the convictions he holds align very closely to opportunity. So if he sees something, he's going to go and take advantage of that opportunity, whereas you and I might go, that's not constitutional.
Yeah.
Or that's not a good idea for the nation because that goes against the Constitution, that goes against limited government, that goes against freedom, liberty. Those are, you might say, ideological, but those are convictions that we hold and what we guide our light by in terms of the pillars or the foundations of why we make decisions.
100%.
His decision-making pillars are more akin to opportunity. What's going to be the most productive decision, right?
Right.
Not necessarily bad.
No.
A lot of times it'll align and it's good.
Yeah,
but it's also dangerous.
Right. You can't say he's doing it for personal gain. He's definitely lost some net worth and all those things. That's not, I know that's where you're not going. And people will take it that way because you're not listening. I think what Mike is saying is there's a guy who did all these Make-A-Wish foundations for kids. Like he has the most ever done or whatever. And the reporter asked him, you're so good with kids. Like you're amazing with kids. They love you. They're like, but you don't have any kids yourself. Do you ever think about having kids one day? And the response was incredible. The guy says, just because I might be good at something does not give me the license or the license to do it. Just because I might be good at that is not a good enough reason for me to do that thing. So in other words, it's not just the opportunity, it's what's best for that moment. What is best for that thing? So I might be a good dad, but for me, my lifestyle, what I do, it's not conducive, right? I don't want to be a come home at 1 day a week, 2 day a week, and then go back out and travel, which is what he does. It's like, that mentality is so good. It's healthy. Yeah. Just because I'd be good at it doesn't mean I should do it. You know what I mean?
There's a deeper guiding light.
100%. And I think that's important. And so as we look on this inauguration, I say, look, man, congratulations. I pray that we reduce the size of government, we reduce its size and scope. And you guys know us. We do this a lot. If we eat crow, we'll talk about it. I ate crow on that one. Thank you. Thank you for shutting me up. And I'm not afraid to admit it. However, I will always remain a healthy skeptic of those who say they have power. Sorry, guys. Actually, I'm not sorry. I'm not sorry at all. I think we're all supposed to be like that because government is crazy. And if you don't believe governments, even free ones, can turn on their people, that's why there's not one free nation in this world. They start off nice, but they end up always demeaning the people. Mm-hmm. And that's why you need to buy Church Liberated. No, the reason why I brought it was just because we talked about it for a long time and it was finally here, and Mike put so much effort into it. And I will say transcribing some of my sermons had to have been the hardest, most savage thing. And thank God for programs that do it. But even me reading the sermon, you got to be in the moment when you're hearing me talk. There's like a thing there.
Yes.
But you read it on paper, on black and white, and you're like, you sound like an idiot. Right?
So for the school of ministry and then for the book, there were a couple of times where I took live presentations that Massey did, put them into a Word document, and then had to kind of sift through and clarify things, put things together. And I definitely came away with a new appreciation of the difference between public speaking and the written word. Because public speaking, you're there, you're feeling things, you're making connections. A person can jump, but there's still context there. When you're reading, it jumps and you go, where did that come from? What was that about?
So Carrie has often said when I go public speak, and we'll round it out here, but when I public speak, she said, I've never heard you deliver the message. I do this message all the time, these messages. The same message, you can deliver it literally night after night after night, and it'll come out different because of what's going on in the room. Sometimes I'll hit an issue that someone's dealing with. Maybe prophetically something will happen in the room. I don't know. And so I'll hit that point. but the amount of dudes, bruh, the amount of are you kidding me's, or like the sheer fourth grade side of me that never came out as a kid is now here. I'd say sixth grade, right? So we had to do a lot of cleaning up.
But it's what endears you to people when you're speaking live. There's a personal connection in all of it.
Yeah, I've never claimed to be like this highfalutin person. Whatever. I endear myself to guys who are way smarter, who speak more eloquent. And God's definitely refined me there, especially this year. I know how I have to like follow certain protocols and all that. But, anyways, if you guys want to go onto Amazon, you guys can order one of these. It's Church Liberated. It's really nice. It's called Restoring the Compass, our moral compass our nation desperately needs. It's not just for pastors. It is for the Christian and pastors as well. So hopefully we'll come up with a workbook here soon as well to kind of do all that. Guys, we love you. Thank you so much for tuning in. We pray that you guys are ministered to by this. Again, our mission is not to just tickle your ears. It's actually to tell you the truth. And there's just so many truths that are being ignored and avoided, all in the pursuit of rejoice. Everything's great. No, it's not yet. It's not. And there's a lot of work to do. So keep praying for the unborn babies. Keep praying for California. And we need to see these things turn. So we bless the people of God. Thank you for all of you who support. We love you. We'll see you on Friday.
Love y'all.